Welcome to the Global Spin Podcast with me, Ryan Kramer, where we take a deep dive into the world of global selling and share the secrets to growing your brand in new markets. Whether you're looking to expand your brand, enter new markets, or boost your sales, we've got you covered. Tune in for unscripted, engaging episodes that will take you on a journey of discovery and success. Let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Global Spin Podcast. I'm going to turn down my audio real quick. I'm your host, Ryan Kramer, and this is my corner of the internet where I bring the best and the brightest in the Amazon e-commerce and logistics space. It's unquestioned. There's no match for any of my guests who come on this podcast. This is episode 14 of semi-live, but mainly live, but we'll say semi-recorded. Sometimes people have really funky hours in the Amazon space. They're all over the world. I can't always catch them, but when we get people who are lucky on to say, yes, I'm willing to take questions and talk live with you. Don't have to worry about edits or anything like that. This is the podcast for you. So this is episode 14. I just wanted to say this is September 6th. If you're listening to us at a different time, that means it is coming up on Q4. It is Q4. We just kind of crept into it. It seemed like so far away from where it is now. Obviously we're in the midst of it all, but there's so many news and upcoming things we have to worry about, especially in the branding space, the selling space. What are we going to do for all this planning we've been doing for months now? Is it going to be able to be successful in the quote golden time for Amazon and e-commerce sellers? But we'll get to that with our guest today. But first and foremost, this podcast, the Global Spin Podcast, is fueled by Frisbi. If you're looking to expand your business to international markets with ease, go ahead and check out Frisbi, helping sellers get to different Amazon markets and beyond with the hand guiding of what Frisbi service, the customer success team, and also our technology to help get those goods into those markets quickly and effectively, and also saving some money. Everyone loves to do that. So go ahead and check us out at frisbi.com/Global Spin Podcast for more information today and catch all of our past episodes. And of course, follow, like, subscribe, hit those buttons below of what you like to, of following our social media handles on, we're on the likes of TikTok now. We're on Instagram, we're on YouTube, and of course, LinkedIn. We're live right now. So if you have questions, feel free to drop those in the comment section, ask them to myself or our guest, and we'll make sure we get all this answered appropriately. It's also a fun day because I was joking with my team. It's another day, another year around the sun for myself. So why not spend time with some of my favorite people on this planet and have a podcast today? Why not? Who cares? It's another day working. So we're going to have a lot of fun today with one of my original guests on my former podcast, but bringing her over to the Global Spin. Thought it was about time to break her into this new market and new audience. So welcome to the Global Spin Podcast, Emma Tamir of Marketing by Emma. Emma, welcome to the Global Spin Podcast.
Did I catch that it's your birthday?
It is. Today is in fact my birthday.
Well, happy birthday. I'm
Thank
so
you.
glad to be here podcasting and celebrating with you. I hope you have something fun planned.
Don't tell the other guests, but you were the person I would rather have on my birthday. So it's a fun day. It's a fun year to celebrate. Yes. Doing something later on today, spending time away from the computer screen, if you will. And but what a better day to talk e-commerce in Q4 than with someone like yourself. And I like to have fun with it. That's where my day revolves around. So thanks for hopping on today.
Happy birthday.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it. Not about me, but about Amazon sellers. And for people listening, again, let us know where you're listening from. And if you have questions for myself or Emma, we can see those live on our screen today. We'd love to have you interact with us. And if you catch us on the audio version later, you can, we'll make sure that you have a ways to get in touch with Emma. But Emma, you're doing so much in the space. We were talking about this. There's events you're speaking at, there's clients you're helping out with, you're in Vegas. So there's always something going on. Tell me, since the last time we spoke with you, or if people haven't had the fortunate experience of meeting you in person, who is Marketing by Emma? What is Marketing by Emma, and who is Emma?
Absolutely. So Marketing by Emma is an e-commerce copywriting firm. We've been around since the very end of 2016. So we're kind of, we've been in this space.
You guys are ancient, man.
We've seen a lot. got the grays to
Evolved,
prove
pivoted, whatever you want to call it. Exactly. Gray hairs.
And what we really specialize in helping brands figure out who they are and then helping them communicate that to stand out, connect with their dream customers, and ultimately get people to want to buy their products. So we do that through Amazon listing optimization, through website copy, and any of those core foundational texts that communicate who you are and why you are so great.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And you guys, like you said, I jokingly say you guys have been around since 2016, which is a very long time in this space, whether it be agency, service provider, software, if we can make it that far. But I jokingly said on a podcast, and I think it's lived on forever now. For me, 1 year equals 7. We age in dog years here in the Amazon space, so we've made it around a couple times, and we're still kicking. So, but that's a testament to what you guys do, and with so many different changes on listings and how to optimize your listings and helping brands grow, whether it be copywriting, like you mentioned, the listing space, that coveted listing space and conversion metric that everyone's trying to achieve or grow upon. You guys have been in the weeds with it. So what has that been like in 2023 thus far? Has been frustrating? Has it been surprisingly calm? What are we looking at thus far as we take a snapshot of 2023 in the space you're working in?
Yeah, so every year brings with it new unexpected changes, opportunities, and challenges. And 2023 is certainly no different. I think probably everyone would agree that 2023 is the year that AI just sort of jumped out and made its big splash appearance. It's been around for a while and even been around with products that anybody could have access to. But with the emergence of ChatGPT, it really suddenly became something that, my grandma knows about. So that's
Is grandma using ChatGPT? That's the question.
That's a great question. I need to ask her. I wouldn't be surprised if she is, because despite the fact that she's 92, she has her iPhone. She is very technologically adventurous, and I just hope that I can be that brave and bold when I am her age, assuming that I have the luck of making it that long. So.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, I feel like I'm halfway there, but that's amazing. Well, that's a good point too. So like with adapting of times, I'll put this in the Amazon speak, if you will. Everyone has their head on a swivel, and we don't have the time nor the resources to constantly be up to date on discussion boards or the best tips and making sure that your listing is optimized in that component. And as brands scale, especially around this time of year, it's kind of this: how can I build on last year? How can I make sure that we're eking out our budgets, our resources, our time and our effort, and really prepare us for what we already are today in is Q4. Or I guess, 1 more month from now, I call it 4 months. September is really leading into October, because that first metric, which was announced a couple of weeks ago, was the Prime Bigger, Better, Bolder, whatever freaking title they were going to call it. It's Prime. I have it up here. Let's get this right for podcasting reasons. It's Prime. Oh my gosh, I have too many. Amazon's Prime Big Deal Days event. That's a tongue twister, which I would not put into any sort of listing. But Amazon's Prime Big Deal Day event is coming this October. Hasn't been announced. Quote unquote, more than likely going to be October 10th and 11th because of deal submissions, things like that. So I'm saying even September is really Q4 to lead up to that. What are we noticing from your perspective for brands to get really prepped for that right now?
Yeah, you're so right. Even if that new bonus Prime Day wasn't going to be happening this October, I would say that now is really the time that if you haven't already kicked your Q4 preparation and planning into gear, you must start now. It's kind of starting to be a little bit crunch time, because buying for the holidays starts earlier and earlier. We also know that just the economy has been not its normal self lately. And so there's a lot of speculation that the buying window is going to be broader and that people are going to be even more motivated and expecting of really good deals as they're shopping for the holidays. And so it's very important to keep that in mind. But what that also means is that it's going to be even more competitive than ever before. So if people are more selective with how they're spending their money, then you want to make sure that you're positioning yourself in as strong of a place as possible to be able to give them that trust, get them excited about choosing your products, and then ultimately buying from you. Of course, not every product is necessarily a gift related product. So obviously take this with the caveat. And if you're selling something that's maybe more of a summer season thing or not necessarily impacted as much by the holiday shopping, then don't take this to mean that you should suddenly deck out your listings and all of your marketing with bows and presents and Santa Claus. So understand your market, understand the category that you're in, understand the customers and their buying behaviors is a critical first step in thinking about how to effectively plan for this time of year.
Yeah, that's a good tip. I want to kind of go back and really emphasize this for sellers who might be entering their first Q4 potentially, or they're looking to gain that advantage over sellers. You've seen people in those little tweaks. Is it in your copy? Is it in your imagery? Where are we making those distinctions of giftable, potentially holiday related items? Do we need to do that well in advance? How soon can we do that without affecting our listing or ranking? What are some like quick tips for a seller who might want to emphasize more of like a Christmas or a holiday or like a Hanukkah holiday, or around the world, with depending on what religion you're in. If you want to really target a specific audience, is there a leeway time or a build up time you should do that for, and not just do it like a week before?
Yes, there
What are
is.
the tips?
So overall, with those more seasonal words, or themes, you'll kind of see a bell curve shape. I believe a lot of people call it like the wave. And so it's something that you don't want to be getting in when it's at the very top, because it's going to be very difficult to actually gain that traction. You want to get in earlier in the wave so that you're able to ride it. And when it's cresting, you're positioned for maximum exposure. At the same time, you don't want to necessarily go too early, because that might feel a little bit weird and off-putting. I know for myself, just as a customer, and it's tricky, because it's great to put yourself in the shoes of how you are as a customer, but you don't want to use that as the only guideline for whether something is a good or bad decision. But for myself as a customer, now it would feel a little out of place to be seeing tons and tons of Christmas stuff when we are just now getting into the holiday season the Halloween season and fall. So people are expecting pumpkin, they're expecting cauldrons, witches, all the spooky season things. And so you don't have to necessarily wait until Halloween is over, but I would say that unless your product is really specifically a holiday product, like let's say a decoration or something that's thematic for that time of year, it may be a little bit early to actually upload that content, but that doesn't mean that you can't start preparing all of that content so that when it is ready, and you can look at that historical keyword data to get some insights into when a good time for that switchover might be, then you're kind of ready to go. So you're not scrambling and simultaneously trying to catch that wave.
Yeah, I've always said a good tip, Emma, for me, that I've seen sellers be successful with is almost utilize retail to kind of pinpoint when you should be rolling out. That's always, I feel like, the easiest metric to go off of, because systematically, like retail and big brands in like a grocery store, for example, rolling out Halloween candy right now. It's September 6th, guys. We got 2 months to go before Halloween candy, but there is a notion that shelf space is so limited in retail store that if they're going to be putting this, and this really big focus around this holiday, obviously candy is a good margin item. It sells really well. People start to think about it. I use almost that as a free benchmark to start trickling over my listings. If it is a thematic element, like you said, they have all the data and insights on how soon is too soon, how soon can I get my inventory in there so that we have enough throughout the season, because they really start to stop advertising it almost a week before the event, because it's already been this whole lead up. So that's a good tip to see, like use retail stores to kind of benchmark for you when can I start rolling that over? Because it gets people to start thinking about it. They start to shop a little bit beforehand. If you're crazy like my family or my like in-laws, they shop 6 months in advance for stuff. But most people are thinking, 2 to 3 months isn't too terrible, but utilize as much data and analytics. But that's kind of a free tip that I like to have people kind of benchmark when they can change that stuff over as well. So any
Yeah.
thoughts on that?
I think that's a fantastic tip. And I think we see that mirrored also on social media. So just as retail was shifting over and the pumpkin spice latte was making its appearance, you
It's
can go
hit
on.
like a wall. It's here. Like it hit me all of a sudden. It was like 95 degrees here in the Midwest, which it's hot and humid. It just hit all of a sudden. It's like I'm in fall question mark. Like that. It was this past weekend. It really hit me, and every single store I went into, it was nuts.
Yeah. Yeah. And so you see that reflected in the social media and the Instagram and the TikTok and all the posts around it. And so that's sort of showing that there's a real appetite for whatever this season is and what you're getting into. But I think your rule of thumb is fantastic, Ryan, and really speaks to a sort of general, broader idea of really being tuned into what's happening more generally speaking in the retail environment, and then more specifically as well in whatever category and niche it is that you are speaking to, because those can give you really valuable signals of different things to be aware of or to be integrating into your strategy so that you can make sure to always be hyper relevant to whatever it is that is front of mind for people as they're shopping and making purchasing decisions.
Absolutely. And then this is separate, obviously, I would say from a logistics or inventory standpoint, you need to obviously plan a little bit farther in advance for that. That's for a different podcast episode as well. But it is important to kind of take this, and I want to globalize it a little bit, Emma, while we're still on a listings perspective of seasonality. When I go into this Amazon special event, I'm going to call it the Amazon special event in October deal because it's a tongue twister. They need to come up with a different name. Prime 2.0. It's in 19 countries now, which is really interesting that they've highlighted it in their press release. I'm reading it right now. It's within the very first title of it, of Get Ready Prime member exclusive shopping event is deals for members in 19 countries. It's a very specific and call out to that. How are we now adapting to not just a US event, but more of a globalized event where this is going to be pushed on all markets all over the world with Amazon?
Yeah, so that's pretty fascinating to me. I think in general, it's my assumption from, and I'm not an expert in this, so this is just more of a gut feeling that I have, which is that in general, the United States is very influential when it comes to holidays and different sorts of trends and buying behaviors. So, for example, I've lived abroad and I've seen how American holidays have been kind of adapted into different countries. Even if they don't celebrate the holiday itself, you'll still see lots of thematic things and products to buy. So for example, Valentine's Day is not a holiday all over the world, but a lot of countries still get in on that Valentine's Day or Halloween sort of train, because why not? It's an opportunity to make some extra money. So my assumption is that people are watching the United States, they're seeing all of these incredible deals, and up until pretty recently may not be able to really participate in those deals. So this is actually an opportunity for a more global consumer to be able to really get in on all of this wild and crazy ride of the holiday deal season, which even when a lot of people are coming over to the United States for work or for travel, they bring big suitcases and they load them up with products. And so I think that this is really probably a reflection of that, and the fact that there is that demand there, but there hasn't always been the conduit for people to actually really fulfill that desire. But I might have been going way off on a tangent there.
No.
And I don't have any like firm ground to base it on other than personal experience.
It's fascinating. We're tracking it obviously for the industry we work within specifically, but as our customers kind of see it, I'm watching how Amazon's very much putting out like what's leading all of their press releases, what's leading the reports. International markets in general are leading the way within the first 1 or 2 or 3 bullet points that they bring up. This is included in that. And I think, like Prime Day back in July, this is also inclusive of 19 different countries. Amazon is pushing as we're a globalized company, we're a marketplace, you're selling all over. Part of that big rise of we want your product to be everywhere, anywhere, all at once within the Amazon ecosystem. So that's kind of their push to make people realize that, hey, it's not just a one country event. This is a global brand event. With Amazon, you yourself can be a part of that. So it's interesting and fascinating that that's their leading point. But again, as we all know, Amazon's here to sell more product everywhere they can all at once. They make money as you make money. So yeah, it's something to keep an eye on. And I know our sellers are kind of prepping for that coming up soon. Again, I would say October 10th and 11th of how to put some money on it. You're in Vegas. You like to, for gambling today, I would say 10th and 11th, we're going to be circling those days, if you will, right before the quote peak holiday shipping fees, those increases come in. So I think we're going to see that the week before. Put some money down, my arbitrary birthday money that I get from my grandma every year. So. Topic number 2, I wanted to, you have so much insight I want to kind of cover. And if you have questions, again, if you're following on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, or Instagram, if you're watching all of us at a different time, feel free to submit your comments live. If you have questions, we'll definitely be able to see that. Nothing yet, but if you have a question on what we're talking about, feel free to comment away. The other thing I wanted to talk about today, we kind of prefaced it, is you had this really cool case study that you had previously discussed and did with Helium 10 and Bradley Sutton and introduced on this podcast. I listened to it. I was super enthralled and excited about it because it was about bringing a product back to life that was kind of stalled. I think any sort of brand out there is, instead of cutting bait and just killing it right away, I'd really like to know how you as a brand, if you have a struggling product or it's kind of floundered for a little bit, what that looks like and how maybe a seller, not just here in the United States, but a big seller can really reinvigorate life back into that product or that listing, if you will. Can you tell us more about that?
Absolutely. So, and this same sort of perspective and strategy is something that you can apply to a lot of different scenarios. So we see this when people maybe entered into the Amazon space and they got in early. And so just by timing, they were able to dominate that top spot for a long time, but then new competitors have come in. Maybe, things have changed so much as far as how you can actually organize and present your product on Amazon. So there are all sorts of things that might happen to cause a decline, or maybe not even a decline, but give you that sense that there could be more potential within your product than what you're currently able to get from your sales. And that really has a profound impact throughout your entire business, because if you're needing to spend more money on traffic that you're not converting as well, then that's costing you more per customer. That's also making you not move your product as quickly as possible, so you're not as efficient and effective in that way. There's a lot of different sort of impacts that can happen throughout the entire business if you aren't really maximizing your full sales potential. And so whether you feel like you're at the top of the world, or whether you're starting to sink, or whether you just never really got that product off the ground in the way that you wanted to, it's really valuable to make sure that you're carving out some time on a regular basis to analyze not only your listing, but the competitive landscape, to see if there are things that you might be able to do to really revive things and make things even stronger than they were. So you're referring to a case study that we did on a product that was launched through one of their big pieces of content a couple of years ago for a really basic product, a wooden egg holder that you can stack and either put on the counter or in the refrigerator. And the product itself has generated a lot of Me Too products. And so it was not that it was necessarily the worst thing ever, but there was a lot more competition from a lot cheaper prices. And so we needed to figure out a way that we could position this product and really bring some life back into it to increase the conversion rates, which ultimately we did. We were able to increase those conversion rates by over 250%, which is really mind-boggling, and always gets me just even more jazzed about the extreme impact of a few simple things that you can do when it comes to everything from your keyword selection to your copywriting to your overall creative strategy, and of course how you strategize and position around your product itself. So that's kind of it in a nutshell.
That's incredible. I mean, like, to see any sort of lift, I think without, this is without, again, caveat on it, no PPC uplift or additional paid advertisement for this
Correct.
conversion. It was all organic, just things that you as a team looked at. This was imagery, this is product listing title, as well as whatever the bullet points and, anything else that we're missing in there.
Yeah, so
Just updating.
we ran new keyword research. We updated all of the copy, and then worked with someone on the team at Helium 10, who she was able to just create those images independently herself. So they're not the fanciest images. They're not the most, beautifully designed, finished images in the world. But to me, that also demonstrates how these tools that you have at your disposal, even if you're working on a budget or even if you don't have the time to get everything absolutely perfect, if you can do something to move things in the right direction, then you can, get that extra money to be able to invest in higher quality images or do other types of things or launch new products. So there's a lot that we can do, whether it's more do it yourself or ideally you would have the ability to go and get some really beautifully designed, super crisp images. But no matter what, there's value to be had in making sure that everything is really working together cohesively and consistently. And that's true whether we're talking individually in a listing itself or across your catalog or, across all of the different places where you exist on your website, internationally, on social media. Making sure that that's all in harmony is super important.
So this product, it was not touched for how long? And then you guys came in and did your magic. What was that time frame, that distance from, last touch to what you guys touched?
That's a good question. I think it had probably been at least a year, if not longer. I don't know the
Yeah.
exact time frame, but it really just kind of been neglected and hadn't gotten much love in a while. And I
It's
think
still
there were just
selling. I mean, they're it's a active listing, so it's
correct.
not on pause. It's an active listing. They're still selling products. When it being for that amount of time, you had mentioned do it more consistently. So what is Amazon looking at for that consistency factor of, is there a certain amount of time, or is it all the things that you changed? What am I considering when I need to keep updating? Because over a year, that's a long time for it to just sit. Does Amazon see that, just that dead period, and then change instance? Does it boost it organically, or is it because of all those little tweaks that you did and the more consistency? Oh, kind of like fuel the fire, if you will.
So you're asking if it matters, like if you're
Length of
always
time
making
versus like how consistent.
images,
Yeah.
or I don't think that matters as much on like a creating any kind of rule like every week you should be changing something. It's not like that. I think a better rule of thumb is really understanding and keeping a pulse on a few different things. So keeping a close eye on the keyword trends within your category, and how you're performing on those keywords, because the
Mhm.
keywords might change over time, not just for seasonality, but also because of there's a new trend on TikTok that suddenly a bunch of people are interested in something that they never knew existed before, or there's just more education in the space, and so people are able to be more discerning customers, or there are just more competitors, and so you need to sort of shift your gears and change strategy. So your keywords are going to be very illuminating, as a kind of like place that you can go to, but also really making sure that you're paying attention to your competitors and your category, and not just keeping that inside Amazon. I would say that overall Amazon is a little bit slow and late to the party a lot of times. Not Amazon as an organization, but sellers on Amazon when it comes to marketing trends, when it comes to different types of things that people are more quick to update their website or their social media, for example, and then Amazon kind of lags behind for whatever reason. And so if you can really stay ahead and stay on top of what's happening in your space, more generally beyond the confines of Amazon itself, then you actually have an advantage to be able to kind of get in early, adopt some of those, the latest trends, and stay ahead of the game and competitive on the marketplace.
That's such a well way to put it, but it's almost frustrating if I'm a person who's leading by data, which all of us should be if you're a successful brand or seller. If you're leading by data, you would think that the machine that you're working within, I say machine being Amazon or marketplace, would be one to support that, that data component of, hey, trends are starting a little bit before. We're kind of manipulating the market of serving products that are relevant for people, or pushing new features where it's, hey, we know that this product is going to be more apt to be sold or purchased right now on a consumer side. So why aren't we like helping sellers out with that data to kind of like fuel the fire, like we said? So that's kind of funny how you see that. Is there a latency effect, or is there like a traditional model or date range that you see like Amazon upticks and kind of gets on trend a month, a week, or I won't
So
say a year?
I think the keyword data is very much there. I just think that people, because the listings themselves are not necessarily the primary priority for a lot of sellers, and so they're not necessarily responding to that data as quickly as they could be or should be to really fully capitalize on that. So a great example would be the Barbie craze that happened earlier this year, and
Still happening.
right.
Still
And
going on, yeah.
absolutely. And obviously Barbie is a branded keyword. So if you're wanting to use Barbie and you don't have permission to do so, definitely don't do that. But what was very clear was that there were a lot of sort of Barbie adjacent searches that were happening as people were preparing for the premiere of the movie. There were tons of Barbie themed parties and activities, and so things like pink outfits for women were becoming very trendy searches, and you can see the data there. But I was surprised to see how no one was really taking that data and saying, like, let me then position my product to suggest that this is what you're looking for. So even kind of having some more imagery showing either like a pink themed party or a group of girls in pink outfits instead of just like a static image of a person wearing that outfit. There were different little things that could have been done to kind of position those products in ways to be able to better capture that craze that just went bananas. I think in June in particular, at least here in Vegas, it was like everything was pink. Every cafe was having a Barbie themed activity. It was just nuts.
And in Vegas, that's a lot of high end Barbie themes. Margot Robbie showed up all of a sudden, so it was crazy. No, it's funny because I feel like we're playing the same tunes on repeat, and a lot of what you and I are seeing are very similar. We did this back when Squid Game happened in the pandemic. Like, people are scrambling everywhere. How do I make costumes before October for people to like get those masks or any sort of branded item? And I feel like social media or pop culture is so, I say social media, pop culture in general is so hard to like, it's so hard to measure what's going to hit, what's not going to hit. But like you said, it's almost better to be safe and kind of place some bets if it's loosely tied to your product than to not. Because I searched on Amazon, I was like Barbie themed or Barbie shirts or Barbie, stuff like that. Where I was like, I'm gonna go to the premiere. That'd be cool to get in 2 days. Or what can I plan for that party? And there was nothing. It was like it was all print on demand products, and that was it. And I feel like we're missing this opportunity of almost forecasting, but we can't just forecast. We almost have to we're really good at reactionary stuff in the Amazon space. We're never good at forecasting. So how do we get better with those kinds of trends, or making our listings maybe set up for success if something like that happens? Do we just like best case and test, or what's the tip we
I
can give?
mean, that's where being able to, it's sort of like the tip that you gave earlier with looking to retail to figure out good timing for when to start kind of like shifting your seasonal approach. And I think that so many people in the Amazon space, they're only looking at the Amazon space. They're not really spending a lot of time looking beyond the Amazon space. And so for something like Barbie, we were seeing Barbie collaborations and influx of pink 6 months or more before Barbie launched. Like
Absolutely.
people were already starting to get stoked about this Barbie movie in the winter, if not earlier than that. I don't really remember when they started having some of the teasers before even the official trailer came out. Valentino had hot pink, like very Barbie pink, high heeled shoes. And so we were getting drips of kind of Barbie priming, if you will, for the main event, so that by the time it came go time, we were all just hungry for as much pink as possible. And so I think that can be a very helpful place to look. But I think at the same time, if you're trying to chase trends, you're going to get yourself into a little bit of a hamster wheel, and you might sort of steer yourself down the wrong path. So I would say sometimes that's why it's more helpful, rather than trying to forecast necessarily what the trend's going to be, think about what that trend is and if there's a way that you can apply it to your business so that you can be there to capitalize on it if it does come, but you're also not going to be, shifting your entire strategy to try to capture a trend that may or may not exist, if you will.
Yeah, I think it goes back to our original point. Consistently update, make sure that you're going with the either trends, but also make sure your data is pointing to you however you can. And if you're seeing those things, I think there are tests to be had. It's just kind of funny that I feel like there's opportunity to be had when you can see some of those things coming, but it's so hard to react in such a moment's notice, that how do we kind of prep ourselves ahead of time? But
Google Trends can be a great tool. Social media is a great tool. We were talking about pumpkin spice latte, and all of a sudden we're just hit over the head with all things fall. But there's been signs that we're kind of ramping up that way, and then suddenly we just reach full saturation of everything is fall. But actually, if you can look back, you can see a lot of people were starting to kind of build up to fall. Clothing Amazon influencers were starting to talk about great fall outfits or late summer outfits, or cooler weather date night clothes or things like that, kind of in that peripheral back to school season. And so it really is so important to make sure that you are seeing those things and really thinking about what the impact could be on your business, and if that's something that's just interesting, or if that's signaling that there's something coming that you can make a point of preparing for.
Yep. And even Amazon's building tools, almost like to that point, they're building tools now that they've announced that there's going to be some indicators where globally it's called marketplace product guidance, where it's even seeing where those trends globally, not just here in the United States, like those trends are amazing, but they're seeing what's in demand globally as well. So you're looking at the sphere of how small it is, but actually the trends are going to be, is your product being searched for? Are those kinds of products being searched for in other marketplaces? Like, again, we go to the 19 other marketplaces or 18, I should say, exclusive of the US. Where else are people searching for those things, whether it be seasonality, or just the lookalike audiences, are those available to you? And then how can you get to those people also quicker? So these tools that are coming, it's allowing you to consume this data, see which one's going to be the best for you as a brand to grow, and then kind of build on top of that. I think it's fascinating. Like you said, why aren't we using the data to leverage, not just here in the United States, but also globally? So I think adoption is becoming more and more clear. It's just funny that traditional marketing is almost put on the back end. We're just looking at keyword research only. But when you look at a holistic picture with retail and we're looking at all these other marketing metrics or trends, how do we use that as part of our portfolio to build and support us for free? I mean, again, this stuff is naturally what I'm told pumpkin spice can only happen in the fall, so I will only search it for the fall. I don't look for it in the spring because that's silly and ridiculous. So I'm only being fed during different times of the year that what we should be buying and thinking about. So how do we make that convenient for sellers who are, in that realm? Let's
Yeah,
talk
or
to
maybe,
one.
maybe there are pumpkin spice fans that are so sad that they can only get pumpkin spice 2 months of the year and would be devoted, loyal customers if they had a source for all things pumpkin 365 days a
Man,
year.
the very small niche, but maybe not. I don't know. It might be a small. It's like the McRib. It's like, when did the McRib leave? It's always been around. It feels like, but it's like it's back constantly. Like same with everything's coming back, and it seems like it's gone, but it should be available all year round. We just miss projects like that. We're trained in our brain like that. Um, I want to go to one more topic today that I think is important to kind of bring all this together. Is how do I make all this data is great, Ryan and Emma. All this, all these different tips and tricks that you guys are offering is great. How am I leveraging, tools to help this for my brand? How can I use like tools like, again, the shiny object in the room is AI. How can I use these things to make my life better and take the data that I'm gathering, consume it, and make it more worthwhile towards my brands? How are you guys applying that for customers, and how are you guys? I say you guys, marketing by Emma team. How are you applying that for your clients, and what should people be doing right now?
Yeah, so we've been testing AI pretty exhaustively in all of its different iterations, both in more of the chatbot style, like the Chat GPT and the Claude, and tools like that, as well as more of the Amazon specific AI tools as well. So, we see the like listing builders and stuff like that. Some of the things that we've found the AI to be really good at is digesting lots of information and finding those golden opportunities, finding those commonalities, finding all of those things that would take a lot of exhaustive work to find previously. You can now get a summary super quickly. So that's for us where we've had massive gains in being able to see those blind spots and being able to see the key opportunities. So things like being able to review all of the reviews of your competitors to look at and see what are people loving about these, what are people hating about these, what are the other things that people are talking about, what are even some common themes about the customers themselves, and then how can we leverage all of that information that we've gotten that we just simply weren't able to get previously without exhaustive work, to really position the product that we're working on in a way to capitalize on all of that information. Positioning, I've sort of talked about it a few times during the conversation today, but it is such an important part of the strategy to be successful on Amazon today, because the fact of the matter is that there really is not much blue ocean left on Amazon. So no matter what category you're selling in, you're going to have quite a few competitors that you are going up against. And so you really need to think about what you can do to give customers a reason to choose you over someone else. And it's not just a matter of saying exactly what your customers are saying or just adding, even more
Widgets
even
and features
better.
and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and just like adding a lot of extra kind of like flowery over the top language. isn't necessarily going to cut it. People sort of see through that. And so for AI, what we're finding to be the most effective is really doing that kind of consolidation of information. And then it's also great for ideation. We haven't really seen it do anything particularly impressive when it comes to the listing generation. It's pretty generic. It's ChatGPT has a very unique way of saying a lot of things that is sometimes fine as a jumping off point, but is not necessarily a natural way of speaking all the time. And so we've kind of experimented with a few ways of how to also incorporate it into the creative process. And we find that it's best to use if we're needing to rephrase something or a new idea for how to say something or to get inspired by different tones. But we actually still have very skilled writers that are really doing that at this stage anyway, still irreplaceable creative work of thinking more strategically, of thinking more deeply, of bringing that human connection and experience and understanding, which is also incredibly important when it comes to branding and marketing effectively. And so leveraging those tools to then be able to do even better work on the creative side is how we found these to be most effective.
Yeah, critical thinking and emotion, I think, can't be replaced by AI. Again, I could be wrong. I don't know who's building something like that out there, but I just think those are the components that how you speak from the point of view. That's a really hard thing to duplicate. But with that being said, how are we bundling this going into the first full Q4 with tools like AI at our disposal, with more data than ever that we've ever been given and thwarted to? How are we? What should we be looking to do at this point with all these tools at our disposal? Is it testing? Is what should we be doing at this juncture in September of 2023?
So I would say a few things, which is one, what AI does is it gives people that didn't have access or funds or time or priority, it kind of levels the playing field. So the worst is now better. So things are becoming increasingly more competitive, and you combine that in with the the way that the economy is going, like we were speaking about earlier, and you sort of have a even more competitive environment that you're going to be entering into. And so because we're kind of on the precipice of Q4, because it's not quite holiday season yet, this is really that opportunity that you have to be able to use these tools, collect that data, and really think strategically about how you can apply that to gear up and get everything locked and loaded and in place, so that as we start getting closer to that Prime Day extravaganza event, whatever it's called,
2.0.
and as we get into Black Friday and Cyber Monday and all of these things, that you have a clear idea of where it is that you're heading, and so then you can also sort of like focus your attention more on things like your PPC and your logistics. And there's always a million things that happen to pop up in the holiday season, and so if you can kind of clear that off your plate and be ready to go, then you'll be able to have more space available to focus on those things. And the other thing is, I always strongly caution people against making too many updates to their listings too close to any big sales event, because anytime that you're touching your listing, you could run into a problem. Maybe you're not even doing anything wrong, but sometimes things happen, and so don't put yourself into a position where you're trying to upload new A+ content and you're struggling to do that, and the days are ticking by, and Black Friday is on your doorstep. Get it taken care of now, so that you have that peace of mind, and so that you're not playing with fire.
Is there I don't know if this exists, it should, I think. Is there a calendar that I should be working from, or like a consistency model that I should be updating and auditing Is that working with you guys? Like, what does that look like? Is it just a feeling, or is there really a scientific backed measure of that kind of stuff? Where how often should I be touching it? When should I touch it? Avoid these times of days or days of weeks. I don't even know. I'm assuming all of it affects at one point. But if I hear all that as a seller, I'm like, well, shoot, I don't know when to touch it. Like, I'm afraid to press the publish button.
Right.
When should I be? When I should be doing that? Is there anything that exists out there?
Yeah, I mean, in general, I would just say that it's some of it's a little bit of kind of,
Feeling.
understanding what you're working with, so
Sure.
nothing happens fast with Amazon if there's a problem. So if you are getting ready for a huge day, you're not going to wait to decorate your store at 8 a.m. when the store opens at 9 a.m.
Right.
I mean, you might, but you're really
Bad
going to
practice.
put yourself in a position where people might be coming to the store and you're either not ready to open or there's a mess everywhere.
Yep.
So some of that's just a little bit of strong planning. I'm sure there are calendars out there to kind of provide those guidelines. I would need to do a little bit of research to see if I could find one of those. So some of that's just, kind of, I think, like general
general marketing planning,
good business. And then as far as the other things, then that kind of goes back to doing your research and understanding your category and understanding the keyword trends and being able to even look at that historical data to see what was happening last year and when would be a good time for me to start to gear up, as you talked about earlier, looking at what's going on in retail, looking at what's going on in social media. And so it's really, it's your job to be able to take all of these inputs from all of these different places and then be able to kind of identify, okay, this is the time to make this change or to focus on this thing, or what's important versus what's not important, which is ultimately, I think, one of the most important skills that any of us can develop in life, not just in business.
Yeah, entrepreneurship is hard, and it's never one size fits all. And I would never say like one calendar fits every calendar. It's there. It always depends. That's my favorite answer. It depends. Customer comes in, is it right to go international? It depends. Is it right to do my listing right now and change it for my upcoming promotions or seasonality? Well, it depends. What are you selling? So the ultimate best answer we can always give is take the time, utilize background data, and you just keep learning from it and growing and keep testing. I would say keep testing and keep evolving. And like you said, don't open and don't plan for this stuff at 8 a.m. of your 9 a.m. opening. I was going to say PM, but that was like a little last second. Emma, if people are curious, like what do you guys have going on? Like what's kind of the focus for you, the team? What's going on there in Vegas? Tell me what's going on in the life of Emma as we wrap up today.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we're hard at work, continuing to deliver fantastic copywriting for people that are looking for that. We also do training and consulting. So if you're looking for, maybe you have a larger catalog and so you're wanting to empower your team to really be able to take all of this and apply it to everything, then we also do that. And really kind of like hunkering down on lots of content creation. I recently, a year ago, I launched a YouTube channel and then I got cold feet and never really had the confidence to go all in, but I'm back at it. I'm committed. I'm posting weekly. So I'd actually love it if you'd find me over there. It's Marketing by Emma. Subscribe, watch the videos. Let me know what you want to see. That's my really like the thing that I'm most passionate about is I just love educating and talking about these topics and sharing the knowledge that I have acquired over the years. And so I'm really investing a lot of my time into that. We also offer a free listing analysis. So if you heard all of this and you're like, I don't know, is my listing doing what it needs to do? Am I in a good place? Am I not? Or you think you are, but you want someone to give you a little star of approval, we're happy to take a look and give you some feedback. If you go to marketingbyemma.com/free analysis, there's a little form that you can fill out, and just always happy to help in any way that we can. We have a lot of experience. We've worked with over 1,500 businesses from all over the world. We've seen a lot. We understand the world of e-commerce and Amazon, and we like helping and watching businesses succeed.
I love it. The Marketing by Emma team giving perspective on your brand and helping moving forward. can't replace experience. Nothing like you guys and the team and working hard over there. Appreciate all the hard work you guys have helped brands, and as always, friend of the show and now friend of the new show. So I'll say friend of show squared, but friend in real life. We've seen you guys. We'll see you hopefully at Accelerate here coming up in the next week or so. But if not, well, I'm sure we'll catch you guys here soon in person. But Emma, thank you so much. If they need to reach out, again, marketing up by Emma, or follow you guys on social media and reach out to you directly. Thanks again for so much for hopping on the Global Spin podcast today.
Thank you. Happy birthday, everybody. Wish Ryan happy birthday.
Too kind. Yeah, thank you so much. And we got some of those in. Emma, thank you for hopping on. And everyone, thank you again. I appreciate that. This is not planned for it to come on. The calendar is kind of open to my guests. Like I'm here to serve the guests. I'm here to say, hey, when are you able to give the best information you can to my audience, to you, the seller, and it's open. And it happened to fall on my birthday. It only happens once a year, guys, so it's okay. This episode will not be about me and only about me in the future. But again, Nir, thank you, my friend. I appreciate you in the happy birthday wishes. So thank you, everyone. It's been special to talk with friends in the space and being able to hopefully provide more insight to what kind of Q4 is coming up. Hopefully you guys can apply this to your brand, your global brand moving forward. And if you have questions, as always, go over to marketingbyemma.com or reach out to Emma and her social team. They're always monitoring, watching. Go check her out on her YouTube. It's fantastic. It's super raw, great content. You won't find anything else like it in the space. And of course, make sure you watch for future episodes here in the Global Spin podcast space, or you can follow me on social media. But of course, go ahead, and every episode is Fueled by Frisbi here. If you guys are looking to build that brand and looking to see, hey, how can I build my brand even more internationally or globally in the Amazon and e-commerce space, check us out at frisbi.com/the Global Spin podcast, or you can email us at support@frisbi.com and ask your questions. Just let them know that you heard about Frisbi through the Global Spin podcast ecosystem. That's it for me today. It's time for me to go celebrate my birthday. Take a little time away from the screen. Hopefully you guys do the same. Enjoy your Wednesday, September 6th. Thank you for listening to us on our podcast. We'll catch you guys next time on another episode of the Global Spin podcast. Take care.